Hey, it's Friday, last day of the week. Hope you remain well. So this is the last of the devotional for the week, and what I'd like to talk about a little bit about God character. As I was preparing for this sermon this past Sunday, God revealed himself to me and his character as I read and studied the passage. First thing I learned is that God appears to us through subtle means, really by testing us. When Abraham saw three people standing there near the entrance of his tent, he could have ignored them. Instead, however, he offered them hospitality, which resulted in God revealing himself to Abraham. We can often miss opportunities for God to use us if we're unwilling to open our hearts to serve. Have you ever felt a tug in your heart that God is calling you to serve somewhere in church or in the community, or to invite someone over for a meal? You start thinking to yourself and telling yourself, I don't have time. I wouldn't know what to do, or they probably wouldn't need my help. Is God calling you, testing you with an opportunity to open your heart to serve him? When we doubt that initial tug, then we may be missing a great opportunity for blessings that God wants to give us. The second thing that I learned about God is that he's personal. He and Abraham had a personal relationship. That relationship deepened through Abraham's obedience and engagement directly with God. We can grow our personal relationship with God by obedience, just like Abraham, and engagement with him directly through prayer and Bible reading and study. Unlike in Abraham's time, God speaks to us as his followers directly through his word, and his followers speak back to him in prayer. Bible engagement and prayer are how we communicate with God. If we don't engage with God through his word, how can we know the instructions he has for us, the blessings he promises, and learn more about the God who loves us? We must engage ourselves in the Bible if we're to know more about God on a personal level. The third thing I learned is that God keeps his promises. Over and over, God reaffirmed and added to his promises to Abraham, even though some of them seemed impossible. It was many years before God fulfilled his promise to bless Abraham and Sarah with a son. We must believe that God is true to his promises to us, but those promises are kept based on his timing, not ours. Believing that God will reward those who are obedient to him is an important part of faith. As I talked in the previous devotional, and without faith, it is impossible to please God. And because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. You bless all those who follow your commands deep in their hearts, and who never do wrong or turn from you. That's in the Psalm 119. God promises to bless us if we follow and obey him. The fourth thing that I learned is that God is omniscient. He knows all things. God knew that Sarah would be in the tent and she would be listening. God also knew that Sarah laughed to herself when she heard the news, even though her laughter was not audible. You search me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, know it completely. Psalm 139. God knows our every thought. We cannot hide our thoughts from him. He knows everything about us. He created us. The only way that we can rid ourselves of the sinful thoughts to keep them from him is to transform our minds through God's power. As it says in Romans 12, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The fifth thing that I learned is that God is patient. God's fulfillment of his promise to Abraham to have a son with Sarah was in his timing, as I said before. God does not alter our plans to fit our plans. Offering up Hagar as a surrogate was impatience on Sarah's part, but it was not in God's timing. We must trust and respect God's timing. He knows when the time is right to achieve his purposes. We cannot dictate when God should do things. Our hope is to simply trust and obey him. As it says in Habakkuk, for the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Lastly, I learned that God is powerful. God is able to do anything. The birth of a son by Sarah and Abraham at their advanced ages would not be possible without God's power. However, God does not use his power indiscriminately. He uses it only to achieve his purpose and in his time. While we can ask God to perform miracles for us, he will only use his power to achieve things for his purpose and his glory. When we are in his will and live a life pleasing to him, allowing God to work through us, God will reveal his power to us. There is no God like our God. He is the one true God who deserves our thanks, praise, honor, obedience, and service with all of our heart, mind, and soul. Anything else is not giving the God of the universe and creator of all things the glory he deserves.